All right. Welcome to Hypnosis Hero, where you can get hypnotized through the screen. We have an amazing guest coming up here tonight, and we're just going to wait for a few people to start rolling in. We've already got one viewer. That's awesome. And more on the way, I'm sure. Uh, those of you that have been following the show for the last little while know that it's getting awfully close to the end of the school year. So I am about 10 days away from actually getting some time to work on hypnosis and some other things during the day. And get to actually enjoy a cup of coffee before I don't have to run anywhere instead of before I have to run everywhere. So that's coming up. But speaking of people that have been on the run today, my co-host with the most and we were talking earlier, and he was on the road. So now he is in the studio, and there he is, Mr. Brian Bay.
Shawn, how are you doing well, it's evening for you guys.
It is evening, yes. We used to have a debate about that at McDonald's. Now, believe it or not, I mean, people at McDonald's do actually get into arguments and some fairly deep subjects like, when does evening actually start? When does evening actually end and it becomes night?
Right.
And it's important for drive-through people to know, am I saying have a nice evening or am I saying have a nice night? And so you can imagine a couple of 16-year-olds that both think they know that they're right, arguing about that.
God, it's like parenting all over again.
Well, yeah, except that I was right. So
now what I do is I go through the drive-through, and if it sounds like a 12-year-old or somebody who's under 18, you roll up to you give them the order, and then you roll up to the window to go pay for everything, and they're like, "Hi, how are you today?" And you just look at them and go, "Bruh." How does it feel?
Yeah, I tell you, there's a professor that was addressing a high school, and he decided to give his entire lecture in Gen Alpha linguistics.
Is that the dude who speaks like perfect Chinese and a bunch of different languages?
Well, he might, but he actually delivers his in Gen Alpha. So his.
He was talking about like all the skibbity and no cap and super sus and whatnot.
Yes, and it had captions so that people like us could actually read it, which was even better.
Oh God! Now I'm gonna all right, let me go to the internet for this one. I'll drop that in the comments.
Yeah, well, it as funny as it is, we're as hypnotists, we're all about communication, and if we can't speak the language of the person that we're trying to communicate with, and they can't speak our language, we don't have any rapport, and as a result, we probably aren't going to be able to make very much progress. So, it's and then I'll be honest with you, if you misuse those words, the students will eat you alive.
Oh, for sure. You could. Oh no! All right, I'm just gonna.
Don't worry, you'll find it.
All right, I'm just gonna put it in the. It won't come from us. It'll actually come because I've got the two monitors up top here. So that's
awesome. And we're on both.
Yeah, we're going good.
You mean I'm like a double mint twin? I look twice as good.
Double your pleasure, double your fun. I mean, it's probably wrong on so many levels, but I digress. I'm quoting the gum advertisement.
We got to try. Interesting fun fact about Double Mint. The Double Mint twins were actually Katie Seagal's sisters. So think Married with Children.
Peg Bundy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did have a short-lived. I found this out. Scrolling at 3:00 in the morning when you're not supposed to be. They did actually also have a TV series, a very limited TV series in the late '80s as well. So
right.
It was so short-lived. It was maybe a 2-week blip in the TV spectrum of shows that we had back then. So anyway. Fun and games, fun and games. And we should also mention tonight, because we know that all episodes age so well, that tonight is Game 6 of the playoffs, and the Oilers are visiting Florida tonight, hoping to prolong the series to Game 7. So we'll see what that comes out looking like, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Right.
Hopefully there's a Game 7, and it's entertaining, and it's the right team that wins.
Yeah.
All right.
Go back. So we've got a guest tonight or something.
We
like
do,
that.
yeah. It's not just going to be me and Brian just riffing.
Yeah.
We'll save that for a time when we really don't have any guests on the show. But we should bring our guest on because I've actually known our guest for quite some time. We actually attended Hypnothoughts at the same time. Well, I'll let her tell the whole story because it's actually kind of funny how we met. And that was the year that I went to go and take the Badass Hypnosis pre-course with Jim, and then of course stuck around for Hypnothoughts, and yeah, it was a good first experience, definitely for me. But let's talk about our guest here for just a minute.
Yeah.
I have to say, Tracy is a certified clinical hypnotist, the founder of Beach Hypnosis, with offices in both the Niagara region and Burlington, Ontario. So she's in probably one of the most picturesque parts of Ontario, especially around the falls. She's passionate about helping individuals tap into the power of their subconscious mind to transform limiting beliefs, release stress, and create lasting change. She's certified through NGH and ICBCH. And Tracy also brings a playful and powerful approach to healing through her work as a laughter yoga leader and trainer. If you don't laugh tonight, something's wrong. Just letting you know. She's a certified health coach through the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute and a proud contributing author of the best-selling collaborative book, The Book on Love. Currently, she is being mentored by Jack Canfield in his private legacy group, and Tracy continues to grow her impact as a speaker, an author, and a coach. And her philosophy centers on the integral role of joy in everyone's existence. She's fueled by joy she experiences in witnessing individuals grow, change, and start to live their best life. And as hypnotists, we know when we get that smile at the end of it, that's exactly what makes everything worth it. So with that in mind, please welcome to the Hypnosis Hero live stream, and if you're watching later, podcast, Tracy Beach.
Yay, welcome. Thank you.
Welcome
See, I'm
to the
over here
show.
laughing.
Yeah. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you guys. Glad to be here. Excited for like two ends of, I would say, the country, but I guess the continent. Brian, you're in near Seattle. I'm in Ontario, and Shawn's smack dab in the middle in Saskatchewan. So we're goodly represented.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So we'll have a quick moment of silence. I just checked the update. Panthers are up 1-0.
Yeah, well, the Oilers play best when they're playing from behind. So
your words, not mine.
All I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. So, as I said, Tracy and I met at Hypnothoughts a few years back. I'm trying to think when that was exactly.
It was whenever I have a T-shirt from there and had the X on it. So Hypnothoughts 10, I think it is.
Okay, that's right. It was actually the last one that was it the last one that was at the Orleans before they decided to move to the Sahara. Yeah. So yeah, we got the actual original sort of Hypnothoughts experience out of that. But it's kind of funny how we met, because I believe that was also the first year they were using the Huva app.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Because again, it was my first year, so it was yours as well. So I'm like, I didn't know. But yeah, amazing app that has a lot of ways to connect, and that's how Shawn and I connected. I was in there's little categories, little subcategories, and one was, I think, for new people or first timers or whatever they labeled it. And there was a little bit of chat. And I don't know if it is you or I, but I was like, I'm coming. I'm going to probably get some groceries if anybody wants to, because I came for a seminar with Tracy Gray, who taught mentalism, which was great. So you mentioned that you were there too. And I'm like, I think you said, hey, do you want to meet up? And then we can get an Uber together and go get some groceries. So that's how we met. And you were my first friend at Hypnotize Live. So that was amazing. And yeah.
Yep, it was, yeah, and from there it was, we'd run into each other in the hallway, and we ran into each other, I think, briefly at the pool party, and
kept in touch since.
Yeah, and that's what, again, Grant and I talk about this more so on Hypno News than anywhere else. When you go to these conferences, you're going not just to be a sponge and suck up all the knowledge. You're going to meet people, and they're going to be, if you hit it off and you have common interest, and you have the ability to stay in touch, which in this day and age with all the technology that's out there, you can make some either really great colleagues or some really great friends. Yeah. And it doesn't, distance doesn't quite separate us like it used to.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to meet people and to meet new people, because I know different people than and vice versa. And that's what things have been reinforced in my life, is that exactly that, I talk to somebody, hey, do you know anybody that does whatever? And then they can point me in that direction. Or I'm struggling with whatever. And you may have the answer, or you may also know somebody who may have the answer, or at least lead in that direction. So again, yeah, conferences, any meetups, so to speak, it's really nice to be able to meet in person. And I think that's one of the draws of conferences and get-togethers. But, virtual has become a thing, and, you get to meet people across the world. And like you said, there's absolutely no excuse really why we can't continue friendships that we've made, halfway across the world. You can even, if you really like, you can write little pen and paper. I think that's even more meaningful in a sense when people mail stuff nowadays, because it brings people
I guess it depends. Canada Post is
questionable.
Yeah.
Okay, send your friend a gift through Amazon and hopefully it gets delivered. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to use a courier.
I dated a lady, her daughter were like, graduating high school, is there anything you want, your birthday, Christmas? And she's like, I just want gift cards. I'm like, that doesn't really do much of anything. And she's like, yeah, but that's what I want. And I'm like, all right, who am I to argue? But Tracy,
it loses that personal touch, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, you try to find, I mean, that's also kind of like the thrill of the hunt, it's finding something that
well, it shows you care. It's not like, here's some cash, because that's what a gift card is, right? I mean, again, I understand students, that's what they want, but it's like, I put effort into this. It shows, I guess.
Well, and it's also just kind of a, you don't want just the holidays to be like, all right, I'm handing you cash, you're handing me cash, and it's just going around in a circle, and it's like, great, it meant nothing. But
it depends. Am I up or down? Am I up $20 or am I down $20?
Then that's like, and that just starts a whole nother sense of fighting. And mom spent more on me, and dad got me this, and then there's the rush. Who got a PlayStation 5? And I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. But Tracy, I'm looking at Google Maps on the other screen here, and I pulled up Ontario, because you said the
big place.
Yeah, it's a big province. What part of Ontario are you joining us from, and will you be at the Michigan conference in September?
I am in Southern Ontario, so Michigan. The conference in Michigan, I was in the middle of selling my house last year, and I had people coming and going, and I was going to go. I was actually going to present there, but unfortunately, I couldn't do all the things. But with
Southern Ontario, are you like down in the Mississauga or London?
Mississauga area. Yeah, I grew up in Mississauga. So yeah, near Toronto, kind of between Toronto and Niagara Falls.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
So Michigan's a big state, but Detroit, or where the Michigan conference is in
Yeah.
Detroit, I think it's like I'm a little closer to them this year because I moved, but it's about I think 3 hours, maybe more. And we have horrible highways in Toronto. Well, again, in the GTA, Greater Toronto Area. So yeah, 401, it may take 2 hours without traffic. It may take 3 with, and yeah. Mm.
No, that
It
makes
is what
sense.
it is. But yeah, we're
Yeah,
not
like
as
if I
bad as LA. I've driven in LA once, and I'm like, oh my word, because they have no. I didn't realize that till I went there. They have absolutely no like transport other than like buses, and they don't have like a subway. They don't have streetcars. They don't have. I'm like, really? Like, wow.
well, because they're sitting right on the San Andreas Fault. So if you have a tunnel and all of a sudden that tunnel moves, and you're like, we've got 2 dead ends that,
And we don't want
and
people in that tunnel when it does
yeah,
that. Yeah, that
and now
makes
we have a
sense. But I was
problem.
like, oh wow, yeah. Toronto's
San Diego,
bad.
San Diego locally, they'll have the trolley that
Oh
will
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
above ground and stuff like that.
yeah.
Up in Seattle, we've got the link light. It's the light rail system that they're kind of rolling out and doing some things, but
TLRT,
it's
yeah.
it's kind of, yeah, it's just interesting. But yeah, it's a 2 or 3 hour drive to a conference. That's too easy. You're saving a ton of money on airfare.
Yes. Then I can go somewhere else more exotic than Detroit.
Well,
Exactly.
Detroit might be pretty exotic.
Yeah,
And
Detroit doesn't hit the exotic, but
friends of mine have told me that Toronto is the best kept secret in all of Canada.
it depends on what you want. It's a major city. We have all the shows, you name it. I think what's going on right now. Wicked just ended in Toronto. I can't remember what's up and going now. I know some people have gone to see Shrek, but anyway, we have shows. We have every cultural food under the sun. We have
Right.
major sports, art. We have it's similar. I guess it's a smaller New York in a sense. Like it has all of that stuff. It depends on what you want to do, right? And I mean, outside of the region, so outside of the Greater Toronto area, decent transport, but there's like a lot of people will do a day trip to Niagara Falls if you're in Toronto, so it's well
Right.
worth it and see the falls. Sorry, the Niagara Falls. Sorry, I
The
lived in
Canadian
the
side of the
area, so it's
Niagara
like,
Falls.
oh, I'll go for a drive, I'll go for a walk by the falls, and everybody knows what I'm talking about, and I do that sometimes. But yeah, a lot of people will go for a full day there. There's a little place called Niagara on the Lake, which is more picturesque, more romantic type of little how stores and shops. So it depends. It has a little bit of everything for everybody. And like we have a green belt and escarpment. So if you like to hike, there's trees. If you like the more shows and whatever, there's a bit of everything. But I think that's true of most cities. Like, I
Right.
mean, you're in Seattle. I know you guys, I haven't been to Seattle. I've been to Vancouver. And everybody says, drive down to Seattle. Or they tell you to come up here. But,
Seattle and Vancouver are not dissimilar.
I love
You've got
Vancouver and the
you've
islands.
got a friend of mine. We went up. We have I belong to the Freemasons fraternal organization and also Shriners, and so we
You are
have
a
a
busy man then.
yeah,
cool.
we have a sister lodge up in Surrey, Abbotsford area, and so the tradition is that we will go up in the springtime, and then they will come down and visit us in the fall. And so we went to a installation of officer ceremony, and so a buddy of mine, we carpooled up there, and he was like, hey, let's go. He was big into like, let's go hit the strip clubs in Vancouver. And I was like, dude, if we park your car with Washington plates on the side streets in Vancouver, like we're going to come back with it up on cement blocks, your wheels and tires are gone, and that's a long Uber ride home. And he was like, oh no, come on, I want to show you. So we drive through, and it was nothing but just drug addicts and zombies. And I'm like, Seattle, a good portion of Seattle is not a whole lot different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think any major city you will get that. It's unfortunate, but you know, there's the good and bad no matter where you go. I'm sure Shawn can speak to that, and he's in a much smaller
Oh,
area.
yeah, Regina and Saskatoon would be no different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to know where to go. And I think for at least if people are interested in coming to Toronto, it's like go where the tourists are, go where the busyness is. There, you're safe. I mean, Canada's pretty
Yeah.
safe in general, but you're safe. You're not gonna, no one's stealing your car. No one's, you know, I mean, unless you have a super high end car that and you don't lock it. But I mean, if you have a rental or you've driven up, nobody, yeah, you're good. Just
Yeah,
don't
Yeah,
do
that
stupid things. Don't. That's.
yeah, so Michael DeShalit out of Las Vegas and Salish Jawan, he was out of San Francisco, I believe. They flew in to do some grad night shows, so I feel like I've been working night shift all last week and the
Oh.
weekend, and so we did a show at one of the 18 and up nightclubs that the school district or the individual schools they'll rent out after hours. So we did like a 3 a.m. show on a Wednesday,
Oh wow.
and
Sorry, I'm
so
like, that's really late. That's
yeah,
like for
because well,
me.
the kids, it's sober grad night for all of the high schools.
Oh.
So they'll bus them around to different venues, and it's like, here's a bouncy house, a bowling alley, all that stuff. And so we wrap up a show, and it's 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I'm watching a big water truck with like a hydrogen peroxide mixture just spraying down the streets. I'm like, I gotta ride my motorcycle through that.
Oh.
So it was like ride slow, get up to high ground, and then hit the freeway. But it was it was really sad because you just see people, hopped up on drugs and addiction and sleeping in the alleyways across the street, and it's like, not it makes me motivated to be successful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a friend who's a city councilor for Niagara Falls, and just like every city, there's all of the above, a lot of homelessness, encampments. But talking to her and learning the politics, at least in Ontario, where I am, and I'm sure it's no different in other, it's just too many levels of government and people with
Oh
mental
yeah.
health issues. They have nowhere to go. No one wants them. The government gives you this grant, but it's not enough to cover this. This branch needs to. It's a complete mess. And I mean, I don't think anybody who's in trying to help people who are homeless or, have addiction, that unfortunately, it's not a simple answer. And we're all trying to help in the best way we can.
and,
And,
and then it's
like
like if you
Nicholas, I mean, yeah, there's,
it's like if you solve the problem, then the government political leaders don't have a job anymore. And
well, I think it's more like what I'm saying is like she's spoken to me is more like it's a really complicated. It's like most major
yeah,
issues. It's too like they're trying and everybody's trying to figure it out, but again, it's all that red tape that you've got to work through. And also it's a much more complicated issue than I can give. So if you're addicted to whatever and you're homeless and you don't have support network and you know who's going to get you in there, and then where are you going to stay? You don't want it in your neighborhood, they don't want it in
mm-hmm.
theirs. Then it's trying to keep the people. So again, even just with like that one individual person, for example, it's like there's more issues than what we see. And now that we're going down that rabbit hole of negativity, but again, it's yeah.
Then it's kind of where I like the fact that hypnosis can help out with that, is that one, you can utilize hypnosis to help break that cycle, but in the end it really comes down to does the individual or do the people want to have that help? Do they want to get better? Do they want to make something of themselves and turn it around? And some people are ready, some people aren't.
Well, I think that's exactly, it's ready. I think a lot of people, like when you have mental illness or you're addicted to something, whatever it may be, you want change, because you don't want to be living in a cardboard box. I don't think anybody in their lifetime will ever, what, I'd really like to, I don't want to live in a home. I want to live in a cardboard box, or I would just want to not know. but it's that change that they're not in a space, and how do you get them to that space that they are ready? And again, that's a whole, and again, with all the other stuff that's going on in people's life. I mean, even as a hypnotist, with something as simple, I'll put that in quotes, as smoking. I mean, you can't convince somebody to do something they don't want. And I mean, every smoker knows that it's not a good thing to be a smoker, but to change that, they have to be in that state of mind to, okay, yeah, you know, I'm ready to become a non-smoker for life, versus, yeah, you know, my girlfriend, boyfriend, somebody sent me, and, you know, yeah, it's bad. Okay, fix me, right? It doesn't work. So,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like I'm doing this because my wife's gonna divorce me if I don't, and all right, I'm going through the motions, but
yeah.
yeah, and kind of, I had a really good point, and it just went. But
Okay.
anyway, I'm curious about you, Tracy. What is your backstory, and how did you trip, stumble, and fall into hypnosis, or how did you
Kind
get
of
to where you are now?
where I am now. So I guess my backstory is funny. A lot of people haven't asked that, and then recently, in the past month, I've had quite a few people. Hey, how did you get into hypnosis? Why hypnosis? How long have you been doing this for? So for me, it started, again, based on what I remember. When I had my kids, or when I was pregnant with my kids, I looked into like natural options, and one of them was hypnobirthing, and I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. So I looked into it a little bit more, and that was a long time ago. My daughter's 21, so that was a while ago, and that was when you had like,
Quick question.
yes,
I don't mean, forgive my interruption, but the natural childbirth, are you talking like you were wanting to do options like zero medications, or
if possible. Again, if you don't
okay,
need drugs, then why would you? Do you know what I mean? Like, again, I'm looking into options to, you know,
right,
I'm not a big promoter of taking things if you don't need it, or there's other
for sure.
options, and that's what I was looking into. I did have a midwife, but the midwife worked in conjunction with the hospital, so I did have a hospital birth because I'm a little paranoid. So I'm like, okay, but what if in the hospital birth? But yeah, I looked into hypnosis, and I started listening to. I ordered the CDs back in the day, put it in my little
Right.
Discman.
Oh, we're
Listened to
aging
it.
ourselves.
Yes. I wish I had like the little yellow one. Mine was waterproof. It was very exciting. My kids
Oh,
are like, "What's
the
that?"
actual portable player itself.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'd lay down in bed and listen to it, and yeah. But my daughter ended up being a C-section, so because last minute, so I didn't use it. And then my son came along a few years later, 2.5 years later, did that all over again. My water broke. You're like, I don't need to hear this birthing stuff. But yeah, in the end, I started using it, but he was not arriving anytime soon. So almost 24 hours later, he was born. So I was exhausted, and I was like, yeah, sign me up for the epidural and get this kid out of me. But
That when my son was born, they were like, okay, so we got this epidural, and you're gonna, hunch over and, spread the vertebrae out, and we're gonna go in, and they're explaining it to me, and I'm like,
oh,
all
really?
right, cool.
Oh,
I don't need to feel this. But then they
just
pulled
do
out
it.
what looked like a whale harpoon, and I was like, you're gonna what? All right. And then he's like, oh, here, I'm gonna thread this thing in, and I'm like, you do you. I'm gonna stand back and just not be in the way.
Yeah, I
if
wouldn't want to watch that. No.
I'm like, if I'm
Yeah.
not touching anything, I can't hurt anybody, and I can't get blamed for it. But
When Alex was born, he was 20. Mia was in labor 26
oh
26
yeah,
hours, and I think it was actually 28 by the time he was uh, completely out. Let's put it that way. And
Wow.
Christopher, by contrast, actually, even though we didn't know much about hypnosis back then, I would say that was an experience in hypnobirthing. 6 hours. It was the
Wow.
last day. This is how well timed it was. Last day of school. I get home. Time to go to the hospital. Go to the hospital. Six
and you're like,
hours later.
but I just
Next day
got
we're out.
That's awesome. Quick is good.
yeah. Now my daughter, it was okay. We're gonna have my father-in-law was gonna be at like one of the places across the base. So when my ex and her mom were at the hospital and was like, okay, when it's time, I'm like, give us like an hour lead time. Grandpa will come down to watch the boy. I'll scoot up to the hospital. All Grandpa has to do is if the fire gets too close to the building, apply water and, keep him alive. So it's after hours. So I get the phone call. All right, let me spin everybody up, run across to the other side of the base, and you got to go through the emergency room exit. So I got to go park around this, run through. And this was all planned. Like, we're going to induce her. It's going to this. Okay, ready, go. And I walk in, I pull the curtain back, or before I pull the curtain back, I just open the door and we hear, "We can see the head." And I'm like, haha, very funny. I pull the curtain back and there's Doc, like baseball glove at the ready. And I'm like, wow. Okay. So I walk around the bottom of the bed and I've got McDonald's in my hands. And as I hit the bottom of the bed, I look over, boom, there's a baby. And I'm like, that was wild. Like, she pushed 3 times. It was like, Yahtzee, here we are. And I'm like, there's another, like, we just increased the population by 1. Let me go set this down. And so it was kind of funny, but yeah, tell us more about the hypno
my hypno journey. So yeah, so that's kind of where I got the idea that, hey, you know what, this is a thing. But again, it was all CDs, so I didn't really think too much of it. And then my journey kind of taken me different places and such. I ended up getting into the book The Secret, started listening to the different, and I watched it as well. And then I was able to, the movie The Secret with Rhonda Byrne, who wrote the book. And then there's different, so one of the guys in it was Bob Proctor, Canadian. Sorry, I'm like, woo, Canada. Go Oilers.
Wait, hold on, let me.
Yeah, let's just go.
Oh, no, they're 2-0. Crap.
Oh, it's okay. There's still time.
That's the end. It's the end of the first. All right, come on, boys, get it together. Let's.
People are watching this on rewind. They'll be like, okay, what are they talking about? This hockey thing. Yeah. So with that, yeah, I ended up. I don't remember why or how, but I remember I was on a treadmill and just watching, just cooling down from like a workout kind of thing. And I remember watching something of Bob's. Like, I used to watch little videos from the different people in the movie, and I don't know what he said, but I remember thinking something about hypnosis, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, that'd be interesting. So that's kind of where my journey went, and then I got trained and haven't looked back. I've enjoyed working with people and just seeing the change in people as well, and being able to affect their lives has just been phenomenal. And back to the smoking, I mean, I think, oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank on names, but there was one hypnotist was talking about smoking and how we kind of give discredit to like hypnotists who mainly do that. Like, it's not life-changing. Well, hell yeah, it is. Because I mean, I've seen, even like in my practice, but I'm sure in other people's practices, is that you've been able to give people their life back, but their human's life back. Like, I had a gentleman who came, he called me from the hospital. He walked in later on after he's out of the hospital with an oxygen tank, but his goal was to see his daughter graduate from high school. And I mean, again, it's him doing the work. I'm not, we all have different skills and abilities, but he had to be on board. But yeah, his daughter gained that. She gained her dad back for an extra whatever years he ends up living. The family, you've got a family member who's healthy, who can do stuff and look forward to things. So I think sometimes we don't see, whatever profession you're in, you don't always look at the bigger picture and how that influences other people and what they're able to do and how much you're helping. And I know even with stage, like as a laughter yoga person, like laughter is so healing. Like nobody walks away. Yeah. Hopefully nobody walks away from your show going, oh, that was awful. I just kept laughing and laughing. It was awful.
Yeah, it's like, that sucked.
Right? Yeah. But again, it gets all those wonderful chemicals running throughout your body. and it brings brightness, light to people, and hopefully that helps them go into whatever's going on the next day, especially for you, Brian, the next day, literally the next day, the 5 a.m. But that helps them be able to even just simply enjoy, they've had that time away. It's a break from their brain and their day-to-day life, but again, it's helped their body physically change, because the laughter changes the physiology in our, again, like I said, nobody ever goes, oh, I laughed so hard, I'm not doing that, that was awful laughing. We don't do that.
And you brought up an excellent point earlier about the gentleman that wanted to see his daughter graduate. And I'm no stockbroker or anything like that, but time is the most valuable commodity that we have, because we have a finite amount of it that we don't know how much is there, and you can never get it back once it's gone.
Yeah.
So being able to extend somebody's life and give them that time, I mean, it's priceless in a way.
Yeah.
And
and that daughter got her dad, and the wife got the husband, and they've been able to do other things. So it's an amazing journey. And also, like you're saying, like with time, time is precious. Even like people are like, oh, but money's important too. Yes, it's a currency, we need it to survive, but you can earn more money, you can't earn more time in life. This is, like you said, it's finite. This is the amount of time. We don't know how much is in that time, but this is what we've got. We can't get that, that back once it's gone.
Now we've got a couple of people watching that I wanted to say hi to or mention. Scott King is joining us from Texas, and then Becca is joining us from England. So her question, tariff free, was asking if do you do any stage work, or do you just stick strictly to hypnotherapy?
I do hypnotherapy. I don't do any stage. I'll let Shawn do it. Actually, the gentleman in my area is Richard Cole, which I think you guys are familiar with.
Oh yeah, Richard's a character.
I always plug Richard Cole if anybody asks me about stage, and whenever I talk about the difference, like kind of between the therapy side of things, and I'm like, Richard Cole, that hypnotist guy, he's the one to go see in my area. I was lucky enough to catch a show with him. He did one at one of the wineries. Like where I live, it's wine country, so there's winery on every corner pretty much. So yeah, I was able to, I can't remember which winery it was.
And then Tommy Girolando is not too far. He's kind of in the Detroit, Michigan area. He was on a few weeks back.
Okay, awesome.
So he's another good guy.
Yeah, I'm on the therapy side, and I actually, I have, my offices are in a share office space with other therapists. But they're like the talk therapy. I'm the hypnotherapy.
Right.
I'm the woo-woo
You're the
person.
heavy lifter.
Yeah.
You're the heavy lifter.
I'm the one, come in for 4 or 5 sessions, we'll be good. They're the ones, come in for 30, 40 sessions, we'll be good.
Oh yeah, that's like a traditional therapist.
Say that to you guys. Yeah.
The traditional therapist is like, okay, well, that's all the time we have today. We'll see you next time. Let's save that for next week.
Or let's dig way back and let's talk about this until you're like, I've had people say that. I mean, there are amazing therapists out there, so don't get me wrong, but I mean, a lot of what I've heard from clients who've come to me for anxiety, stress, that kind of thing, it's like, yeah, I don't want to keep talking about like when I was 5 and my dad, or keep moving. I know
of people that have been in therapy for 35 years, and you're just like, is it really working? I mean, it's one thing to have a counselor of like, hey, I've got high stress job, I need to get some stuff off my chest and just kind of vent without having anything. It's like your spouse or your partner, they're not professional listeners, and if you disclose something,
bias.
they've got a bias, and then it's also
their agenda.
Are there some things that I can cherry pick from this to turn around, and when we're in an argument, I can go throw that back and pack that in my quill of slings and arrows. But it's good to just have a unbiased third party. But that was a big question that I had. Just dealing with some stuff from the military. I'm like, okay, what's what are we doing here? I come in and I remember I got really upset at one guy, and I was like, I come here every week, and it's getting to the point where like I get more and more pissed off by the time I leave than when I got here. Like, what are we doing? I don't know that this is really helping. And I think it was shortly after that I, have my gym story that, I met. It was a meetup in person, and a friendship was formed. And when he passed, it devastated a lot of us. And but the cool thing about that, if I had to pick a silver lining, is that I made that friend. There was a tremendous amount of love there and mutual respect and encouragement and just uplifting, that I got to the point where his loss, he meant something to me. So it to me, it means that we did friendship the correct way.
Yeah, there's the saying, don't cry because whatever.
It's like, over. Be happy that it happened, or something like that.
Yeah. And like when my friend passed, she knew she was going to pass, so she had her funeral plan and everything else like that. And that was the one quote that she wanted. Don't cry because it's over. Basically remember and smile because it happened, or and again, take that, what he's done or whatever, whoever it may be who's passed in our lives, is like, take their legacy and continue it and just celebrate the good times and remember those, because that's what they probably would like you to remember, not to be sad. I mean, again, it's nice that you're sad because obviously they had an impact on your life, but it's like, okay, now I've got that. That's my feeling, and that's okay. But what else did they bring to my life? They've brought me this, and you've probably seen things throughout your day that remind you of Jim and go, oh yeah, that's awesome. And it's just those little things that they're still there. And I love that about, like, I mean, obviously I don't like when people, pass on and we're like, what the hell happened? But it's nice when you're like reminded of them in little things, and it's like, yeah, you know what, they had an impact. Even though I miss them like crazy and I'd really like to talk to them right now, I had that was something that I was gifted with.
If you can justify breaking away at the end of January next year and pop down to Vegas, Richard Cole will tell you that it's a great time. You'll learn a lot. You'll meet some wonderful people, and
I'll be there. We can have coffee in person.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't seen Shawn in person since like the first Hypnothoughts we went to.
Hypnothoughts is coming up probably in a few weeks, I imagine. Yeah. They were like, everybody asked me, "Are you going to Hypnothoughts?" I'm like, I am not doing Las Vegas in the middle of July. It's, you walk outside, you spontaneously combust. Well, but it's got air conditioning. It's like,
don't go outside. That's the trick.
Well, we did actually go outside. Actually, it was the last day of the pre-conference sessions, and Jim decided it would be great to actually get out and do some street hypnosis out in front of the Bellagio. Right. So we zipped out there, and it was so hot. If you weren't local to Vegas, you were probably melting. And we had a few people from overseas that they just couldn't understand how it could be so hot and so dry.
It's awful. Yeah.
Drink coconut water. Is that person hypnotized or dehydrated? I don't know. Jury's still out.
That's your trick, right? It's like, okay, how can I get them in the right state? I didn't hypnotize them. I just
sleep. Now open your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Oh God, please open your eyes.
Give them some Gatorade, quick. Yeah.
No, that happened in my first show. I had somebody who was just went straight down and was not coming back up. So I just left him there. I figured, you know what? Every so often I'll come by and see if he's good to go. If he's
I see a chest rising up.
Something that'd be good.
Yeah, as long as you're breathing, we're okay. Yeah.
Well, the guy that I was partnering with on the show, that was his thought. Is, oh my God, I hope he's not dead.
Becca said it's hot over in England on the metric side as well. But I guess they've had some.
We understand that metric stuff.
Beautiful weather.
Yes, the Canadians understand the metric. Yeah.
Scott would call them well, if it's not freedom units, does it really matter? That's what Scott would say. Yeah, Becky, I hear you because it's starting to get that way here as well.
Yeah, but England usually they don't have in most places. Like I was born in Ireland, lived in England for a while, but yeah, they don't have a lot of air conditioning because it's not. They don't have super hot
What I
temperatures.
thought was crazy when we were in Vegas in January was at nighttime, like it got down into the low 30s. And of course
That's
we're out.
below
Oh,
zero. That's almost zero, Tracy.
in January?
Yeah, it was like
Oh wow.
just hovering above freezing. And you know, we were like, oh, we'll try to get out one night just as a field trip. We'll go across the freeway to the Bellagio and do some street hypnosis. And of course, he got a bunch of people out there, ice cold beer, and I'm going, how late are you guys staying out here? Because I'm cold. The
Wow.
Starbucks on the corner is just nuts right now. You know,
Is that
going.
usual for Las Vegas?
Las Vegas can. I mean, the desert can get cool in
It
the
can get
wintertime.
cool. Yeah.
I think we had a pretty good cold front that came down.
Scott says hot in England, 78 degrees.
78 degrees in the freedom unit.
England's a whole
Yeah.
country, so I mean, I guess it depends on where, because there is north and south.
They're in their like 60 days of summer.
That's
or nice weather all year long.
The thing I will remind everybody of is that it isn't the 22nd of June yet, so we haven't yet reached the longest day of the year. But I want you to know that sunrise this morning was at 3:25, and the crows started beaking at 3:25 and 4 seconds outside my window. So,
3:25.
Yep.
Wow, that's impressive, Shawn.
Let's see. I'm looking at ours was 5:09 a.m. was when the sun broke the surface. Of the horizon. But yeah, it 4:30. It's the 4. I think 4 a.m.
Our longest day of the year is coming up.
Yeah, and then the sun will go down a little after 9 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows and remembers to mark it on their calendar, we are 6 months away from Christmas Eve.
Don't be saying that. I hate winter.
6 months and a week.
Maybe I'll move. I don't know.
That means by the end of July, the Christmas decorations are going to be popping out, and we're going to be like, oh, Halloween and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back to school's already out, and we haven't left school yet. So
this year has flown by. It's like Jim passed suddenly, and then we were like, oh God, we're 3.5 weeks from the conference. I think I blinked and spun around and went, I'm getting on an airplane tomorrow. And then it was.
Excuse me a moment. My cat knocked over my light here.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's like I blinked and all of a sudden it was like I'm getting on an airplane. I'm at the conference. Then it was, Grant and I are flying back to Seattle for the memorial, and then we had a few days, and then it's just been February's here now. It's
June,
March.
June.
So.
Yep, I've been saying that all year. It seems like we just started the school year last month, and here we are in month 10, and there's about 10 days to go. So.
Okay, old people, you guys sound so old. Stop. It's like I remember when time just stood still when I was a kid. Those whippersnappers getting out of school now early. Yeah, no. Come on.
Oh, time standing still was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like you just come back after lunch and you're like, all right, 2 more hours of school. And then you look at the clock and it's like
clock that every classroom had. Yes.
1 hour and 58 minutes. It just seems like an eternity. But go. I wanted to go back to your hypnotherapy. What are the most common things that you work with people on?
typically what people come and see me, it seems to ebb and flow, and it's very
Hmm.
interesting. And I mean, when I speak to other hypnotists that do similar work, it's like there doesn't seem to be a pattern of time. But a lot of times, like again, the smoking, stress and anxiety is huge. And with that, typically will come imposter syndrome, although they don't say that, but that's
Now when
a
when
lot of
when
times
when
what
you
it
say
is.
ebb and flow, is it like all of a sudden you're slammed with clients and then you get some time to come back for air, or are you pretty steady with clients, but what you're seeing people tends to ebb and flow
Both
and kind of
again,
tidal?
like I mean, I've seen people in different industries as well, like more like the help and healing kind of industries. It seems like
Okay.
right now a lot of people have taken a dive. It's gone down, and I think that's economy. I think that's fear of what's going on politically, at least in the US and around the world. So again, is that why? That's people's guesses why people aren't coming through the doors. I haven't seen as much of a downtrend, but again, like I said, it comes and goes. But for client wise, yeah, it seems to be I have like a chunk of all of a sudden I have all these people inquiring about smoking, or I have all these people inquiring about weight loss. I have all these people inquiring about, like I said, the big one right now is usually stress, anxiety, yeah, things like that, or like thoughts around specific things. So again, anxiety around like white coat syndrome, being afraid of the doctor and your blood pressure going up, or it's usually stuff people don't talk about. And when I say, "Oh, I thought I had a client last week that's similar to you," they're like, "What?" You're
Hmm.
not alone in this journey. Like I had a few people that have toilet anxiety, so different kind of IBS, but not like it. Again, it's like there's different issues around that. So if I throw that out there, if anybody's listening who has that, they'll be like, I'm not alone. No, there's a lot of people with that, and a lot of people with
Hmm.
different things. Again, it's a lot of stress and anxiety, and I think it's the pressure. Everything in life, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But like I said, and then it does come back to a lot of times with the regular stress and anxiety is usually part of it is imposter syndrome, that we don't think we're good enough. We don't think we're deserving. We don't think that, oh, I shouldn't be
Do
here.
you
Someone
remember
else.
when we were kids and we were like, God, I can't wait to be an adult
Yeah,
and have the
yeah.
freedom, and like the grown-ups had everything under control, and we're like, we grow up and we find out, wow, that was a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, and we were invincible though. I always say, like, take that. Like when we were
Oh
kids, we
yeah.
thought we were invincible and we could do everything and we could become whatever. And now, as you get older, it's like, oh no, it's like no. Still try and embrace that energy,
Oh,
because I think we got to go back to that.
I remember a time where I was like, I'm going to go ride down the skateboard down the hill, and the wheels hit a little piece of gravel, and I went. I got a impromptu physics lesson,
Do you have any
and
scars to speak
oh,
of?
I had gravel in my arm, and I was just road rashed. And of course, I come in, and my dad worked from home, so he had his home office. And I remember he was on the phone with somebody, and of course, it's like the front door opens up, and I'm and I walk into his office, and he's like, I'm gonna have to call you back up. My son just walked in, and he's bleeding a lot. So let me go clean him up and call you back. And it's like, and and it wasn't so much like it was the pain of the discomfort of your injury. Sometimes it was more painful to recreate, or recount, like, okay, how did this happen? Tell dad how you got all jacked
You're
up. And you're
like,
like,
without
well,
getting in trouble. Okay, how can I phrase this so that I don't get in trouble for whatever I did?
and credit to my father, he's probably looking down on me from the afterlife, just laughing hysterically now. But
Laughing.
it's, as a parent, when I went through it, because it's like, ding dong, doorbell rings, and it's one of the neighbors. Your son crashed his bike, and he's crying, and I'm like, how much blood is there? Oh, only a little. All right, let me go get my shoes on. And of course, you got to walk out there and like keep a straight face, and you're trying not to laugh. And credit to my dad to look at me and go, and not have that face of, are you?
I'm like, what did you do, kid?
Yeah, like where did I fail you as a parent? Type of a thing. But as I got older and grew up, you're telling the stories, and you know,
He gave you good stories. He gave you good stories.
He's kind of
And
like,
you
okay,
and you live to tell about it.
yeah, it's yeah, a lot of fond memories there. But so are there any special like inductions or techniques that you like to use for your therapy or your clients?
Not offhand. I try and pick and choose. Like again, I think we all have a repertoire that we go to, but nothing set. No.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know that's, but yeah, again, like I try and craft what I'm doing for my clients based on their needs. And I mean, hopefully most people do that anyway.
Hmm.
And what resonates. And I know I've heard other hypnotists talk. Like I'm a part of a group for, it's basically women hypnotists in Ontario. It's just started up. It's a smaller group, but we've met a few times and just talking to people in other groups as well. It's like sometimes you as the hypnotist get tired of doing the same induction or whatever over and over again, even though you're doing it with
Right.
different people. It's like, I'm getting bored of that. Are these getting bored of that? So yeah, it's interesting to that aspect. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite induction?
Not really. No. Should I?
No,
I'm kidding.
I was curious. You know,
No,
I've talked
I
to.
mean I like a lot of imagery. Like I like again using, you can do the numbers or whatever in whichever way, shape, or form you want, and stairs and whatever. But there's a
Now, are
few.
you describing so they can paint the picture in their head, or are you telling them think about something and picture this? And
Can I go off in the think about, because there's a hypnopods, the think about versus imagine, because the
yeah,
people
yeah,
who
go ahead.
have sorry, I want to digress on this because this came up on the weekend because I was at a yoga retreat.
No, no,
And
perfect. Yeah, please elaborate.
yeah. So yeah, I was at a yoga retreat. I was there as a participant, and I asked if they, the lady who was running it when I signed up last minute,
Right.
if you need anybody to do anything. So she said, oh, that'd be great. So they set aside time, and I did some a meditative, hypnotic meditation, whatever you want to call it. And again, it's technically hypnosis, but
Right.
people, as you're aware, people are scared of the word hypnosis a lot of times. So if you
Hmm.
throw meditation in front of it, they're okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, I did that. But one of the ladies afterwards said she's unable to visualize. And I've run into another client who was not able to visualize. And then it was at Hypnothoughts last year that I ran into. Oh, I'm really poor with names because when I need a name, I can't grab it. But
Right.
that's what she was talking about. How people can't. There's people who cannot visualize. So they can still be hypnotized, but you can't be using the terminology. One of the things was like, picture A, imagine A. And I didn't know this at the time, but I had a client who was like, he said he couldn't visualize. And then I asked in a group, like, again, that's coming back to networking and knowing people and going to conferences, a group of ladies, and said, hey, I have this guy, what's the best to use? And they're like, think about. So I asked him, does think about work for you? Is if I say think about, an apple or versus imagine, he's like, yeah, I can think about it. He just can't visualize it. And it's fascinating. And I want to call it, is it aphantasia? Is that what it's called? I'm drawing. I always want to call it Anastasia, but it's not. It's aphantasia, I think it is what it's called, but it's an actual thing where people cannot visualize. She has a card, and I could grab it, but that Paulina's her first name. Um, and anyway, but it has pictures of an apple, and that's what she did in the seminar, the workshop at Hypnothoughts. She
Uh-huh.
did. She had a picture of different apples, but she told us to visualize an apple, and she described it, and then she asked how did you see it? And most people are like typically in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna grab it. Hold on.
Okay.
Paulina
Hey,
Trevina.
thank you. Yeah, she's amazing. That's her specialty. I was not feeling 100% because travel and all of that. Yeah, I have her card. I still have it from last year's Hypnothoughts, but I'm trying to find out where but that was the thing that she gave us, and you can see the different apples on it. And like, what do you visualize? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. And there's,
Right.
ooh, Paulina. It's probably backwards on the screen, but.
Nope, actually, it's coming through on mine the way it should.
I'm trying to not. It's because it's yeah. So that's Paulina. Anyway, amazing. But yeah, some people don't visualize. So yeah, I'm really careful with that now. Is making sure that people do, or using terminology that they can still follow along, and using both. So I found that super important. So yeah, that's my plug for Paulina. I think she's in the UK.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I think she's originally from. I think she's in Poland somewhere. If she's listening to this, I hope I didn't guess wrong where she was originally from, but that's okay. Yeah, I met her at Hypnothoughts, and so yeah, I think we're a big plug for Hypnothoughts, and you guys are plugging also the conference in January.
Right.
Well, lots of conferences. There's Michigan, of course, is in October. Right after Hypnothoughts, what is it? Mid America, and then somewhere along the way, I believe ICBCH has another conference, but I don't remember if that is coming up right after.
Oh, Canadian this year, the Canadian one, October 25th, I believe, 25 and 26. So I'm looking at my calendar because that one's in Toronto. So if we're talking about Toronto, you want to come see Toronto? Come see Toronto. I'll show you around. We'll get you a Presto card, and we'll go all over the place. And I have the secret spots for parking, or I have a pass for parking in Niagara Falls as well. So watch me get like 300.
That's people. Important because the last time. The last time I was in Toronto, it was like $100 or $120 to park under one of the malls on Yonge Street. Yeah.
Okay, that's excessive. But like Niagara Falls, to park in in any of the main park, it's like 30, 40. I think it's now $40 a day. But you can't park for like an hour. You have to park for the day, so it's $40. Whereas they have like a parking pass that lasts a year, and you get 2 license plates on it, and it's $50 for the year. But you have to know about it, and you have to live, I think, in Ontario. I'm not sure. It's kind of like but most people don't know about it. And I have that pass. So if you're coming to Toronto, give me a shout. I'll take you to the falls, or I can show you down Toronto. But yeah, don't park in downtown Toronto. That's just, it's like New York. Don't park down there. It's super expensive, and it's horrible to drive. They have it's not the same as New York or London, like subways and streetcars and transport, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. That's my promotion. It's not terrible.
That sounds very Canadian. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
It's reasonable. That's what we do. We're reasonable
people. It's not terrible. Yeah. Well, I like our GO train, which you guys don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but it's a nice train. It's a commuter train, so it's clean. It's lovely. Yeah. It's nice. Subway. Yeah. GO train.
So Becca's got a great question here. She's asking, do most hypnotherapists use progressive relaxation as an induction? And she says that she feels like they are the least effective for her. Yeah. And then she says that she gets bored. But she says, I doubt that they do a shock induction in therapy or in a therapeutic setting. And I actually kind of, I'm in the same boat. The first time I tried hypnotherapy, the therapist was like, oh, here, think of a place of whatever. And of course, my ADD brain is like, look, give me instructions, I'll follow it. Mm-hmm. But if you're asking me to think of a place that, what makes you happy and relax? And I'm like, well, I like skiing, but then I also like the ocean, and then a tropical place.
And then your mind's going all these places.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, now I'm just getting more and more frustrated at myself and everything. And then I worked with Jim, and it was this, okay, bang, bang, quick, very perfect. It was great. And, I actually fell asleep and whatnot.
So I think you've got it like as a client, you're a customer. Tell your person who's doing the hypnosis, like after the session or even in the middle of the session, hey, this isn't working for me, or hey, my mind's going elsewhere. And I think that also goes as the hypnotist is knowing who you're working with and what works for them. So when they say they have ADHD or their brain is always, then figure out what works. Hey, did you, and again, for me, my clients come to me for more than one session, 3, 4, whatever. However, that's what I'm like. I like feedback and trying to encourage them and gain rapport with them. So again, I mean, if anybody, is in that situation where they're like, God, that was awful. I didn't, hopefully you still got what you needed. You might have been bored and you might have been again, it's natural. People's brains go to, am I doing laundry? Did I flip the laundry? Oh God, I gotta eat dinner later. What am I making for dinner? Like that's
I started counting holes in the ceiling, and like she's off in trance and she's doing this whole kumbaya thing, and I'm kind of sitting there going like, I paid this much money for this. Like
but again, it's knowing your client and you speaking up. But even within that, it's like, hopefully you got something out of it in the end. I really hope you did. Like, again, because again, our minds wander and drift. That's just nature of humanity.
Yeah. I ended up getting a refund from her, but it was
clearly
great because
not a good fit.
Yeah. And there was just stuff that was going on at the time, and it's the compatibility just wasn't there, which was okay. But fortunately I got connected with Jim, and then did some work with Dan Hedrick down in Oregon, and then Nora is out of Ohio, if I remember correctly.
I believe, somewhere in the Midwest. Yes.
Yeah. So she was one of those like, hey, you're a veteran. If there's some stuff, we did a few sessions, and it was helpful. I think the one with Dan was this like 1 day intensive thing that was, I felt like I was physically exhausted, mentally fried, and that's all from spending the majority of the day in a lazy boy recliner.
And well, I would say your mind's running the marathon, your body is catching up. Like, and that's why you're exhausted. Like, yeah, like you said, you're laying there, you're relaxed, you're in this state, but your mind's doing all the work. So your body's like, and then again, it's that mind-body connection that hypnosis and other modalities cover. It's like, geez, why do I feel exhausted? I just laid there. And it's like, because of that. And like people who do Reiki, other things that are different energy work, it's the same thing. Typically the next day or later on, you're like, oh, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. And that's totally why. And acknowledging that, because your mind's done that marathon, because because like you did all the work and you felt exhausted afterwards. So again, trying to remember to tell your clients that too is important.
Yeah, and I'm reading the comments from Facebook and YouTube, because we've got people that are listening on TikTok. And Becca says she just gets bored imagining a beach or a winding set of stairs or descending, and she was like, "There's way too many fun inductions out there." And I think with Becca, if I've worked with you a few times, Becca really likes what they call fractionalization, or getting fraction, where it's like up down up down up down, and it's like, okay, we're just going to step down deeper, and that's what works for her.
And again, she knows that, and you know that, but like first time one-on-one, I mean, really, it's guessing, right? Like, because I don't know, I've never hypnotized Shawn that I'm aware of.
But
like, I don't know what works well for him, and he's a hypnotist, so he probably knows this is like what my brain likes. But again, it's that feedback. You've got to give feedback to people either way. And again, as a hypnotist, trying to pull that out of them. Next week we're going to try this or whatever.
I would be one that you would be talking about what I'm thinking as opposed to what I'm visualizing.
Oh, you don't visualize that well. You're more of a...
I can create visuals in my mind, but it's not... I need to actually sit down and think about it, But
it's super helpful if you started out with hypnosis log, start date, something rounded off to the nearest decimal point,
and always have a good cup of tea.
Yeah.
There you go.
The chamomile is strong in this one.
No.
The bergamot.
Yeah.
Or
No,
your
Earl Grey has no chamomile. It's nowhere near chamomile. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're like, chamomile. It's got like too much lavender or something in there. I don't know.
Too much chamomile.
Oh, okay. That's the relaxation stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
Sean
supposed
apparently is already zen. He needs the caffeine from the Earl Grey to hook him up.
Yeah, it's only 20 to 8 here, so
Yeah,
or 7:40 for those of you that are on digital clocks.
9:40 where I am.
Yeah, I will have this cup of tea. I will still be able to go to sleep at 10:30 when I'm supposed to. So
yeah, but no.
Although back in the day, I'd probably have another cup around 9 o'clock, and then I'd work until 2 o'clock in the morning. When I was the IT manager. So it was a running joke, but I was actually quite serious. There are days in the IT world where you just keep working until you hope the electrons are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. So,
and then you talk to people like that, and you're like, oh, why do IT people work so late at night and early in the morning? And it's like, because that's when you're not working and they can just get stuff done. They're not being hounded with questions that can be resolved
they always called me antisocial. It's like, well, you never show up for any of the staff functions. I said, because you guys aren't there, I can go do what I'm supposed to do. Because every time I do it when you're there, you say, don't do that. I need this.
And I don't have to go, did you just turn it off and turn it back on again? Oh, hey, it works. Cool. Thanks.
No, I'm much more advanced now. I just stand beside them and it works.
Good job.
Yeah. That's why we bring you to the Hypnosis Summit. It's like, all right, Sean, do your juju. Wave the magical jazz hands over this.
Lim Blam Alakazam.
Yeah.
Good job.
Mr. Scott says, my visualization skills have become much more developed because of hypnosis.
Yeah, because you're using it. Like, again, it's like any skill you develop, and whether you want to call visualization a skill, it's something, the more you use it, the more you develop it. So,
Scott, yeah. I thought you were telling me that it was because of those mushrooms you found in that forest that one time when you were out doing things in places.
That was foraging.
Well, foraging is a skill too. But speaking of skills, we mentioned off the top that Tracy is also a published author. Well, she joins the ranks of people like Jim and Bob and tell us about
Kevin Lapine and
Kevin
Tommy
Lapine,
Girolando.
Yeah. Tell us about your book.
My book, I've got it here. We've got to do the screen thing. So it's called The Book on Love, and there's 40 different women authors. Jack Canfield, the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, he kind of is the inspiration behind it. So what we've done is it's obviously a book about love. This is the 5th book in the series. So Jan, who kind of put it all together, there's joy, there's gratitude, there's a few other books, and this one's supposed to be the final one, the 5th and final one. But there's stories, obviously it's the book on love, so all the stories are about love, but it's not all mushy love. Some of it's like a transition, learning to love yourself through and trusting your gut. And that's part of mine, is trusting my gut, but it's more towards my son, who has always been giving me adventures. He was like, from the day I'm pretty sure the day I knew he was pregnant, it was like he was the kid that always kept me on my toes, and just learning to trust, in my situation, the mother's intuition. And no matter what, because you know your kid. I mean, you guys know your kids, like, especially when they're little, like they don't have the verbal communication, but no, that's not right. There's something not right. And it's learning to trust that, and in throughout life, all of the ups and downs. And there's stories, like there's one lady, Marguerite. Oh my goodness. So Marguerite, I met not through the book, but through Jack Canfield's group, his legacy group. And she's marched with Martin Luther King when she was younger. I'm like, And recently it was Malcolm X's birthday. Obviously he's passed. But she mentioned on her Facebook group that she ended up being next door workmates with Malcolm X's wife. And I'm like, oh my word. So just her story is more on love in obviously horrible situations, and justice, and in the US and obviously other places, but it's her story. And there's stories about, people and their dog, who basically, people who have pets, their pet rescued them, and like that kind of love. So it's not just mushy love, oh I love you, and romantic love. It's more stories. Again, it's stories hopefully to push you forward, and everybody needs a little more love in their life, and more inspiration to continue that. And especially now, and this, like, I mean, the political climate, I'm going to just leave it at that, is not the best. And more love. Again, love, I mean, we talk about love, and back to Martin Luther King, like love is more powerful than you've got the love and the hate. I mean, love overrides anything else, I think, and it's raising that vibration and showing love, and in whatever form that takes, and just knowing, again, it's a positive vibration, and that's what we need to focus on, not hating, because the more hate just breeds hate. We'd like to breed more love. Should bring more love into the world, and we need a lot more of that. So whether it's through my book, but again, it's like, no, it's also through each other, and just appreciating each other, and bringing more positivity in whatever form that takes. And my favorite quote, and I can't remember who quoted it, but it's a Mother Teresa quote, and she said she would never go to a anti-war rally. She would, however, attend a peace rally. So it's that little difference. What are we focusing on? And people who believe in the law of attraction, it's the same thing. What are we focusing on? What you focus on, you attract. So let's focus on peace. Let's focus on love. Let's focus on joy. And yeah, there's always crappy things happening in the world, and even in our own small world of ourselves. But what is that positive thing that we can focus on? And then that also wheels back to, I'm a big professor of gratitude and gratitude practice. I sometimes will assign that, in a sense, to my clients, because it helps us to focus on the good, and not like I said, crappy stuff still happening out there, but there's always good. And if we can focus on that, hopefully that brings more of that.
Well, and then there's also the saying of, you're the average of the 5 closest people that you hang out with. So it's like, get around good people. Those are the people that are going to motivate you. And things like
people
that.
Who are always in the negative, like, oh, this is awful. Crappy things happen. And again, you do want your friends to share with you the bad stuff, so that hopefully you can help them, or at least support them. But you also need that positive. Like you're saying, you need that.
And speaking of a positive and inspirational guy, Scott says, I have never used those mushrooms, Brian. He says, maybe someday. So that, Scott's pretty awesome. Scott was a guest of ours, I think, last year. Scott, you are due to come back and join us. Yeah.
Actually, Tracy would have met Scott and the entire Hypno Hustle group, minus Colin, because he didn't make it that year, at Hypnothoughts. Because
you introduced me. Like I said, you were my first friend at Hypnothoughts, and then because you knew, you had already known some people, so then I had, I think, lunch or dinner. We went to the little, I call it a food court. I don't know what it was, but then I met some more people, and then thank you, Shawn. I met people at Hypnothoughts. I didn't stay in my room the whole time. Yeah. But that's the thing. It does take that. Like, I'm very introverted, and to even to go to Hypnothoughts, but then to connect with one person, and that one person then be able to,
and it's funny how it just snowballs like that, where you're like, okay, I got introduced to one person, then they introduced me to 2 other people, and then I've made other friends, and there's commonalities. And
and then, like I said, as the introvert, then you feel a little more confident. Okay, I can go meet other people. This is a safe environment. These people aren't all scary and mean, and I don't have to hide in my room. because I remember somebody saying that their first year, that's what they did. And I'm like, that's one of the reasons I always plug going to the pre-conference, any pre-conference, because you're going to meet that's one of the reasons why I did, because you meet that small group of people that you're training in, whatever, that 1 day, 2 day, 3 day training, because it's such a small group. You can't not meet your people in like a small seminar.
And even if you're not participating in any pre or post conference training, there's the opportunity to network, because what are they doing? They're going to run into class for a couple hours. They're going to pop out, take a break. Then they're going to go back in, and they're going to take a break, lunch, and things
go
like
to
that.
The events that they have. Like, I think one year I met we did bowling. I remember that one year, and that was fantastic because you met people. But take those opportunities when there's like the activities, do it.
And if nothing else, I mean, obviously, yes, all of that is true. But if you're coming from a different time zone, you don't want to be like, I'm getting off the airplane and I'm just exhausted from traveling all day, and then I've got to be up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning to go, switch on and go absorb all this knowledge, and then okay, now I've been running nonstop all weekend. Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, I gotta go fly out and try to get home. It's like, give yourself some time on both sides to just kind of woo-saw, get settled, get your bearings, get acclimated, and that way, when the conference does start, you've got a couple of friends.
Yeah. Also for sickness, I find, like, at least me, when I travel, even when it's like 1 or 2 time zone differences, like hours, it's like travel takes it out of you. Your immunity goes down. So again, most times when I don't look after myself and do exactly what you said there, is buffer time or take that time to some downtime. Yeah, you end up getting sick typically. I mean, again, that's me. Yeah, but
and the cost difference tends to be quite substantial as far as your flights. And I'll use the Performing Hypnosis Summit. To fly in on a Wednesday was probably a third of the price than it was to fly in Thursday or Friday.
Oh, really? Wow. And
then the same thing, it was 2.5 times as much to go back Sunday night than it was to go back. I think we went like Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. And for me, it was when I looked last year and I was booking tickets, it was, Thursday was the day to fly in. No question. Wednesday, Thursday were the same, but not leaving Sunday night, but leaving Monday morning. After that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday just went astronomically. Like, it was like a $1,200 difference.
Well, again, and I think hotels cheaper on the weekdays, isn't it, for you guys? There, I don't know how. Yeah,
well,
so even it's not
with the discount with the discounted rate, I came out ahead because the savings was the savings was more than the savings in the airfare was more than the cost of the hotel.
Yeah,
and then if you factor in, all right, we kind of went out to eat. And with Gold Coast at the summit, it was nice because there's, little, it's like a drugstore that's kind of like a small Walmart type of thing that, they got a little bit of everything. So you can go in and you can grab some snacks and some stuff. And then if you do need to go hit the grocery store, it's not terribly far away. And that way you're not doing $30-$40 a meal
every night,
2 and 3 times a day, because that'll add up fast.
That's how I met Shawn, because I was like, I want to go. I heard of Trader Joe's. I now know all about Trader Joe's. I'm like, I want to go to Trader Joe's, check out what they have, get some groceries, and that was my first HypnoPots. And I think there were fridges in our room, so I was able to get like dairy and some vegetables and fruit, like actual healthy stuff versus the really high, greasy, typically heavy foods. And again, something that I could grab quickly for breakfast, like some instant oatmeal or something like that. And then if I wanted extra, because again, there's economical ways around things. And also you don't want to, again, I'm a big eat
There's
healthy.
only so many boneless hot wings that you can eat from TGI Fridays before your body is
Or
like,
pizza,
all right, enough.
or yeah, it's like, yeah, and also like you said, the cost. Like obviously, you can get some decent things for a lot less, and yeah.
Mhm.
Well, again, why pay? I don't know. I mean, I know Starbucks. I don't know if they still have bananas, but they used to have banana. Like, why pay? Your $2 for one banana at Starbucks. I don't know if that's the cost, but
Oh
you know what I
yeah,
mean. Versus going to the grocery store and picking it up for a
it's
couple
like you can go
cents, and
walk
then
across the street and get a 24 pack or 36 pack of bottled water for $3 or $4
nothing.
versus,
Yeah,
oh well, we're gonna charge you $2 for a single one. You're like, yeah, thanks.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
So I
I
mean,
can put
again,
those
for
in a little
people.
mini fridge.
Yeah. For people who are questioning whether or not to go, but if they, there's ways around it, and
Yep.
whatever conference it may be, because whether it's you guys sorry,
Yep.
I'm not a stage person, so forgive me. Plug
No,
it, tell me.
we call it the Performing Hypnosis Conference.
The Performing
The
Hypnosis
summit.
Conference.
The summit.
Summit.
And
In
Conference.
Las
Yes, I was
Vegas.
planning a conference today, so.
And you guys are in a much nicer temperature range when not like,
yeah.
100 and way too hot, like in July. Although Hypnotize is cool because again, it is the
Like
biggest.
we walked around, Grant Saunders and his wife and I, we just took a day and got dropped off kind of up by the mall towards the northern end of the strip, and then just walked through all the hotels and
Nice.
just kind of explored around. And we were in jeans, a t-shirt, you might have a light sweatshirt or something like that, but when you're walking around, you kind of warm up pretty quickly. But it was very, very pleasant weather. It was a little cooler in the evening than I would have preferred, but
You're talking to two Canadians, so we're like, no, that's warm. That's not here.
yeah,
We're dealing with Sean's dealing with way more snow than I am, but we got like.
But just the simple fact of that, like this coming 2026, we're looking to have somebody to come in and talk about like the business aspect to leverage your hypnosis business for financial gain, and it's more like how you can look at like tax sheltering and writing off business expenses, and even for people that are in Canada or over in the UK and Europe, these are questions that you can ask your accountants and stuff like that to go, what's the equivalent of doing this here? And if you guys are wanting to do have services or do performances in the United States, does it make sense to start up a business entity here where you can it's like, hey, this is a write-off for this entire trip. But then there's also the professional stuff of some people go, oh, stage, it doesn't really appeal to me. But then you get up, you talk to people and you're like, being on stage actually pays very, very well. And it's not as scary. And, oh yeah, Sean's posting stuff out here. It says, vote now. Is Tracy a friend or a frenemy? So we're going to have a single question. It does not involve disclosing your mother's maiden name or any, bank account information. It's a friendly thing that we do. We ask all of our guests. So definitely vote now. And we'll come back to that in just a minute or two. But is there? Oh God, I had a great question. And again,
it was awesome. Awesome. I loved it. It was the best question I've heard.
Okay, it popped back in my head. Is there a particular, without disclosing, identifying, the client's identity or anything like that, was there ever a time that really stands out that was very impactful where you helped somebody?
Oh, see, I was gonna flip that. That one of my clients spoke to me, and I'm gonna flip it just because again, it's more interesting than me saying, "Oh, so and so, I did this awesome thing." But they, again, because I think when we deal with people in the day-to-day basis, a lot of times it reflects where we are in our lives. And even though someone's coming to me for help for whatever they may be dealing with, oh, my AirPods are down.
Oh.
Can you guys still hear me now?
Yeah, just fine. I guess I'll
Okay.
reframe. It is
Okay, hold on.
what.
I gotta turn up the volume. Bear with me, my little
No,
story
that's
here.
okay.
Technical difficulties.
It
All right. So
was
yeah, so
what.
she was the.
Was
Sorry.
there a time that based on the client's like reaction or the outcome that is like, oh wow, this is really cool. Like this was super impactful. It helped
I
them. Like
think
a most
back to the.
memorable one.
Yeah, like so the most impactful, I think, for me, knowing that I was in the right space doing the right thing would be the one man that I was talking about, the smoking, because him, just his goal, just to be able to see his daughter graduate, like it's not even something that it wouldn't come across my mind. Like, he knew at that point that, and his daughter was graduating that, like the end of that year. So it wasn't like, it was like she was 2 years old. She was in Canada where we are, at least in Ontario. I know different provinces are different, but yeah. So she would have been like 17 years old. So, yeah, knowing that I had that impact on his life and him being able to actually see the future, because he's like, yeah, I've talked to her, now that I've quit, we're planning the next summer to go on a canoeing trip, and we used to do canoe down the French River and blah blah blah. So again, giving him even that vision back, even if he never went, he had that light, like, okay, I can do these things now. I can, for him, walking to the end of the block without having to stop was a success for him. And knowing that he now has that, oh my gosh, I can, the things are not getting worse, they're getting better. I'm improving my health. I'm able to walk further. I'm able to breathe. I'm going to be off my oxygen tank soon. I can actually go canoeing in the summer and look forward to that. So that was super impactful to me. In the other way around, one of my clients that I was going to mention that spoke to me was this lady who lost her husband, I'd say about 4 years before. She came to me for smoking. She also later came to me for insomnia. But her story about her husband was so touching, and just the grief that she went through and people not understanding her grief and thinking that she should be over it. But within that, just it's wow, you had that kind of relationship. And from a person who, again, I'm a single person, so I've dated, done a lot, but it's just like,
Right.
I'm not seeing a lot of relationships work. And as you get older, you hear people's crappy stories, and you're like, are they divorced or they're not in a
Oh
good
yeah.
place? And it's like,
The horror stories.
does anybody's relationship actually work, or are they just like this facade? But talking to this lady, I'm like, oh wow, they really loved each other. They really had each other's back, and it's hard to explain. I'm like, it was phenomenal. I was like, oh, okay, this does exist. This is not just Disney painting a picture. I mean, obviously there were ups and downs, and I mean, I think a lot of times when people pass away, there's that, that glorification of the good times, and obviously you don't want to focus on the bad times. But yeah, like her story about her husband was phenomenal, and she would bring him up every now and then. And then we were doing a session, and he popped in. Like, she saw him, and this is not, we weren't even remotely even close to what she saw. And I'm like, I always tell my clients, you get what you need at the time. And that's what she needed for closure. Was she saw him and her two dogs that had also passed different times with him, and basically blessing her and sending her on her way. And that was not what I was asking her to visualize at the time. But like I said, I always add in there, to get what they need, or what they need to hear at the time for their healing, or whatever they're working on. And that's what she needed. So being able to bless her with that, even though, like, again, then that's her story with her husband, I'm like, oh yeah, amazing. Because and I told her that, like, when she left, I'm like, your story, your husband and everything around that has spoken to me as well and given me hope. So not only it's that exchange. And I've heard different hypnotists talk, like, that's what I needed at the time, I guess, to hear that story. But sometimes your clients mirror what you need, or you're like, oh yeah, I needed to hear that myself, or there's stuff that we're saying to our clients, or whatever time for it's like, oh yeah, I need to take that advice too.
Well, I'm gonna excuse myself for a quick second. I'm getting booped, and somebody is telling me that they need to go outside.
Okay,
So
go.
I will be right back.
Okay, do what you need to do.
Come on, goofball, let's go.
So as Brian makes his way back, just a reminder to
dogs,
just a reminder to everybody that we will be doing the hypnosis portion of the show immediately following Friend and Frenemy. And I already know the answer to this one. I see Becca's placed a vote that she's saying, I think, Frenemy this time. So we'll see if Becca's right as soon as Brian gets back. Just looking to see who did we miss anybody else in the chat? I don't think so. But if you have a vote, place it now, friend or frenemy. We don't have prizes to give away like Jim did, but it's still one of the coolest games around.
Or something like that.
Or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So are you going to Hypnothoughts this year?
No, I'm not. I went last year. I kind of try to do every other year, just because again, like, I don't particularly like Las Vegas. With most conferences, everybody not all, but a lot of conferences stay in the same place, and I understand why. Cost, and also Las Vegas is super easy to get to for most people.
Yeah, there's some continuity in the planning, and
but again, if you live in that area, it's much easier, and again, it's the same cost no matter if you're coming from say Seattle, it's the same price, or it's cheaper to go from whatever. But for some people, it's really expensive. So it would be nice to see it, put it in Florida, put it in somewhere north, and even if you're just keeping it in the U.S. is keeping it in different regions. And I know logistic wise, that's obviously much harder to do, but it is doable. Both my kids did Irish dance, and there's the puppy.
Sammy says much obliged.
Yeah, and they were able to they would hold for majors, so worlds and nationals, they would hold it 2 years in one spot, 2 in another spot, and then they'd go back. So they still get that contract of the multiple years, but they kind of split it up so that it gets, so people can, hopefully more people can attend. It makes it more accessible. But
yeah, we have that in Saskatchewan. Sometimes the conferences will be in Saskatoon, which is kind of central in the province, and then they'll bounce down to Regina. So you typically won't see as many people come from the north.
Yeah.
Is this hypnosis stuff, or is this school?
Education and business conferences both work that way. If it's in Regina, you're going to get lots of people from the southern part of the province, no question. But if it's in Saskatoon, you kind of you get a much better mix of people from north and south. So
now, Tracy, when did you start your hypnosis, and did you have a regular a 9-to-5 day job, or at what point did you say, all right, I'm doing hypnosis full time?
I started full time just before COVID hit, so that was very interesting because I basically didn't have an option of going.
You're like a happy little accident.
Yeah, it's live or not. It's I have to do it Zoom. You can't. There was no.
Yeah.
Which is great because it's cost effective because I didn't need an office at that point.
Well, and offering that to people, it's great because say you're at work, you can either go into the break room, you can close the door to your office. If you work from home, you can just go, all right, let me press my do not disturb, and I do my session, and I save the time commuting back and forth, and it's a like you said, a very cost effective option.
Yeah, and it for me as well, on I said, not renting an office. But then I've found now, and I think it's true. Well, again, people do like virtual, but most of my clients are not virtual. Most of them people want in person, and I think post pandemic, a lot of people they want that connection and that personal.
Oh yeah, they got that.
definitely starting to see it come back, even as a performer. There were a couple of years there after COVID where it was difficult for even the most experienced of us to actually draw enough of a crowd to almost make it worthwhile. And it's taken some time to come back, but starting to see it now. So
yeah, I think people are starting to go, yeah, you know what, I can go out of my house, see a show, do a whatever, and participate in things. And they're starting to go, yeah, there's actually a benefit of it. I miss that. But again, because we were so closed in, we're like, okay, I can do that by Zoom, or I can, it's like, no, even when you're sitting watching a show or whatever it may be, you're still with other people, and there's a dynamic there that you don't get through virtual. So
We're finding a lot of that with the Masonic fraternity and Shriners is a more of a younger generation who is used to be, all right, we're going to communicate over the internet through our video gaming systems, or hey, just send me an email. They're afraid to interact with people, and then all of a sudden it's like that's taken away. You've got to shelter in place and do all that stuff. It's like, oh my god, I don't get to people. And there were people like Jim that were like, this is the best thing ever. But then a lot of people are like, I'm missing that social connection.
And like the
and
younger generation have lost that's a skill set they don't necessarily have because they weren't able to practice it during the pandemic. Like with school, I know my kids were in and out of school. Like during that 1 year, it was pretty much shut down. They did all online.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like my school board had cohorts. So it was very, and again, depending on what age group they are, they've missed the whole almost 2 years of like a social skills. And I mean, there's other stuff that's happened because of that. Like, I mean, you talk to anybody in mental health or even in education, well, Shawn would probably see it in a lot of children and youth, is that there's a lot of mental health issues around that because they did not gain those, and they don't have other social skills and other things. And I feel darn sorry for the poor kids who came through kindergarten, because kindergarten's pretty play-based. And they had nobody to play with. How do you
we're going to see
over the internet, right?
We're going to see a big ripple effect for quite some time, I think.
Yeah, and we see it in the adults, but again, in the children as well. Even as adults, like it's like, oh, I got to go out of the house now. But there's positives. Like we would never have been able to meet. And I mean, there's a lot of like even my clients who, if it's a snowstorm or they're not feeling well, they can still meet with them. And they're, even the older generation, we're old too, but even older than us, they're more willing to go and press the little button and do the virtual call or whatever versus, if the pandemic hadn't happened, they wouldn't. And there's people like, I'm pretty sure, like I know I wouldn't have connected with if it hadn't happened. I wouldn't be like Zoom rooms with multiple people. It wouldn't have had to happen. It would be like, oh, we're having a conference or we're having a meeting or we always meet up in person. And no one would know that they existed. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons, but hopefully, and we're here to help. I'm a therapist. I'm here to help.
Yeah, and it is nice to have. What I found is that when I wasn't working from home, it was easier to say, okay, I'm going to get up, get showered, I'll get dressed, I'll hop in the car, and you have that 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long your commute is, to kind of go, all right, game face on, and then at the end of the day, all right, I'm going to shut work off, wind myself back down, and then I can be like, all right, work is at the office. It's not downstairs.
Yeah, it's not constantly. Even if you're not there, it's in your brain. It's still, it's nagging at you. And
because it's super easy to be like, all right, in 10 minutes, I'm going to get up and go do stuff. And then you're like, all right, well, it's 30 minutes. It's an hour later. And you're like, wow, that went by fast.
Yeah. And that prep into work is, especially if you hate your work, it's like that 10-minute drive or 15 or whatever it is to mentally prepare. And good God, I hope not too many people have to mentally prepare to go to work. But
And then coming home, you can just scream in the car
de-stress.
without disturbing anybody.
Yeah, but again, I mean, people need that. Even if it's like you enjoy your job, sometimes you just gotta like leave it behind. And yeah, like you physically don't when your work is like the desk that's right over there, or you know what I mean, or it's in your basement. It's still physically in the same space as you. You may not even see it, but you kind of can feel it, and it's like, yeah, you need that. And yeah, like for me with people with smoking, a lot of my clients who work from home that are smokers, that's their break, is they go out on the back porch, they have a smoke, or again, and I think as human beings, as people, we all need that break. So it's now finding that, because a lot of people still work from home.
Yeah, it's like, okay, take that break and go for a 10-minute walk.
Yeah, find what works for you, but definitely take that break and figure out what works. Like that's the thing. It's like, what may work for me won't work for you. And I'm not promoting smoking, but take that break. Like you said, go for a walk. Or even some people, it's someone was saying it's a dopamine rush when they take 5 minutes break and they go downstairs or wherever their laundry room is, and they fold a couple of things in laundry, and then they go back, they grab their coffee and sit back down.
Hey, I got something accomplished. I've got another victory for the day.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of a break, but you're accomplishing something at the same time. And again, that works for them. I would just be grumbling about the laundry. Oh God, I have more laundry to fold. Am I ever going to get to? So that's not working for me. But going to get a tea or a coffee, Earl Grey hot, right, Shawn?
The Earl Grey hot.
If you're Grant Saunders, it's going to be a latte.
Right. What's that tea that he drinks? Yorkshire tea or something like that?
Oh, the British one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the British tea.
Yeah, there's Yorkshire.
And
Typhoo is one of my favorite British ones. The decaf is very strong. It tastes like tea and like a lot of decafs. But yes. So if you're looking, if you can get it, get the decaf. It's just really expensive where I am. So yeah. Anyway, that's my rant.
Most teas are now.
I do enjoy the rooibos, which is decaffeinated, but also tastes actually like tea. It's from South Africa. My daughter went to South Africa. I'm like, that's the only place it grows. That's the one gift I want when if you're bringing me back anything, bring me back that.
Yeah, so. Actual rooibos is it's completely different from what you get in the stores.
Yeah, I found a South African store that sells it, and it has Nelson Mandela on the front, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful tea, and someone I was dating at the time introduced me. He was from South Africa, so yes, that is some good tea. I'm not dating him anymore, but I still love the tea.
You're like, there's something good came from this.
Yeah, exactly. It's all positive. We learned something new. Now we get to enjoy it.
I got the tea.
Yep.
So
speaking of learning something new,
I've got a couple of votes that say frenemy. So now, Tracy, it's a yes or no question, and it's about your personal preference. You are going to order this, not the if it's there, I'm not going to object type of a thing. So, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Drum roll. Yes.
Oh, you guys were all correct.
Because I'm Canadian. That's where pineapple pizza came from.
Yeah, it's not that far away.
I think it came from Belleville, didn't it, or somewhere? Because I'm back to Richard Cole, where he's from. He's from Belleville. I think.
Yeah, well, we as much as we like Richard, he is a little different too. So.
Poor Richard. Him and his monkey.
It explains a lot.
But yes,
no, Richard's a good guy.
Yeah.
And I had a pizza just after, a while ago, and I was saying to Shawn, I'm like, Jim will love this. This is my I had a non-pineapple pizza, so it was like, I'm like, or did I have pineapple? I can't remember. I remember sending a picture of it to Shawn, going, hey, this is my pizza. Maybe I should put pineapple on it. or something. I can't remember.
Oh, Jim was like, "There's terrorists amongst us. I'm getting all these pineapple on pizza photos and memes." And
and
then even Bob Martin was like, "Imagine the crunchy crust and the cheese that's melting, and then just the tangy of and Jim's like, no, stop! You're making it taste good or sound palatable."
No, actually, Hypnothoughts. That Hypnothoughts. Colin Chapman, and he said, "Shawn, when are you guys breaking?" I said, "Well, pretty soon here." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because I'm sending pineapple pizza to Jim's entire class." And he couldn't get the pizza place to actually take it upstairs and deliver it, but he was hell bent on making sure that Jim knew that there was ham and pineapple pizza for everybody.
With friends like that, who needs enemies?
Exactly. Becca says, "I knew it. Something about you looked like you like pineapple with pizza."
And
I'm good with that. I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
Oh no! Becca felt a disturbance in the force. That's all. It's. I mean, I'm kind of agnostic on the whole thing. I'm more of a pepperoni bacon, but that's where Jim and I really bonded was a love of bacon and red meat. But
yep, can't argue with that.
So
I don't order it usually with a lot of pineapple, but I mean, I don't object to pineapple. It's not a no. Artichoke is a no.
I'll sit in that camp with you.
Yep.
I'm pretty much like vegetables do not belong on pizza, but
I have had broccoli on pizza, and it was okay.
Why would you destroy perfectly good pizza with broccoli?
I was gonna say that's not pizza anymore.
I didn't order it with the broccoli. It was like one of those pre-made vegetarian ones. I know you're like, oh my goodness, vegetarian, ew. But I wasn't. Cured meats don't agree with me. They typically will give me ocular migraines, and that's when your vision starts going. So I like, as much as I used to like bacon, it's not, unless I'm not driving or doing anything of importance within the next 6 or so hours, I'm not. Yeah. Sad, I know.
No, I mean we can appreciate and respect those with dietary restrictions and things like that. I mean,
I'll just pay for it.
There's no sense in tearing your stomach up and suffering through that. But the fact that you're willing to,
again, if I can, bacon's really delicious. I will say that. But
yes,
yeah. But the problem is, like I said, it affects, because the migraine will affect my vision, and I need to see. And to drive,
you're like, I'm gonna pre-Excedrin migraine this thing before I have breakfast.
I wish it would work. I don't mind the headache. It's the vision. Like I said, I need to see. So different people with different ocular migraines see different things differently. For me, it's like a little like snow is smushed on. Like at one point, I thought it was on my windshield, and I'm trying to wipe it off. I was driving once. I don't know what I ate, but I was like, oh my goodness.
Is that the stuff where you're just like, I need to lay down and just put something over my eyes so that no light comes in? And
it's not like, again, for me, like migraine wise, I would call it a headache. It's just an ongoing headache that doesn't want to go away for usually 2 days. But that's not the problem. It's the vision. Like I go for a couple of, she's enjoying the pepperoni and bacon. But yeah, for me, it's just the vision. Like I can't see properly and I can't read, and I shouldn't be driving. So yeah.
Yep. I can live with that, Scott. I would also put mushrooms.
Yes to mushrooms or no to mushrooms?
I would say yes to mushrooms. When you come to Saskatoon, we'll eat wood-fired pizzas at the Delta Hotel downtown, and they make an excellent meat and mushroom pizza. They also have other stuff that doesn't have meat on it, but I'll definitely have the meat and mushroom pizza. So I will have 2 meals in that restaurant. One will be that if it's nighttime. If it's the morning, I will go for the Eggs Benedict because they do an absolutely Smashing Eggs Benedict.
That's where they sprinkle the red stuff over the sunny side up egg on a muffin.
It's a
or poached egg.
Yes, over Canadian bacon.
So ham.
Bacon. Back bacon.
No, Canadian bacon.
It's back bacon. What is it called in?
You would call it pea meal ham.
Pea meal, but it isn't, because back bacon isn't back bacon different than pea meal?
Well,
so you look at this debate
if you grew up with Bob and Doug, you know the difference between back bacon and regular bacon.
Bob and Doug, are those the two Labatt's, the Hoser guys?
Yes.
Oh, you know the Hoser guys and the Takeoff.
I grew up watching Wayne Gretzky when he was with Edmonton. Okay. And then when the first hockey game I went to, I saw is when they traded Wayne Gretzky to Los Angeles, and they did an exhibition game down in San Diego. Nice. So I'm like, I got to see a legend in person on ice. Cool. He's taller than I expected. And
nice. That's cool. How is the hockey game now? Do we ask?
I think the season is over.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm showing. Well, let me refresh.
Do you want to?
While you refresh there,
it's 3-0 with just a hair over 11 minutes left in the third.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to pull a rabbit out of their hats or put the puck in the net. Either way, we'll see.
I mean, I'm flying to Tampa tomorrow, and I know that's the opposite side of the state, and they have the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I think everybody in Florida is going to be going bonkers if
they win a second one.
Yeah. And I mean, it's I don't know what hockey Jesus would do in this. I mean, do we pray to Gordie Howe, or Mike Ditka's the Bears, and that's football.
So Gordie Howe is the hockey Jesus? I've never heard that terminology.
Oh, it's.
I'll show you his statue in Saskatoon when you come. He actually used to play pond hockey with my grandfather.
That's pretty cool.
In the name of the Father and the Son and the Guy Lafleur. Canada, hear our prayer.
Speaking of hearing things, we should probably get on with the hypnosis portion of the show.
Oh,
and let Tracy get some actual sleep, because for her it's getting on to 10:30.
Yeah, it's 10:30, 10:27 here. Yes.
Do you have anything for grief? Asking for a friend.
Do I have anything for grief I can pull out? I was actually going to, instead of like hypnosis, because part of kind of what I do with my clients is I do give them tools and techniques to use, and we didn't really touch on the laughter yoga aspect of what I do. So I'm just gonna give you a couple of techniques that you can use throughout your day for stress, anxiety, and.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, as we talked about earlier, laughter, you guys both do stage, so you know that laughter, people walk away feeling good and having that energy. And there's a couple, I do have a YouTube channel that I have a lot of the techniques. I just use it for my clients mainly. But
definitely.
It's a Positive Mindset Gal.
Can you type that in the
I got it.
Okay, yeah. Shawn, do the jazz hands.
So that's my YouTube channel. I do have Positive Mindset Gal, like I do other stuff with on Instagram and TikTok. But that's just more for my clients. So have tools and techniques like box breathing, bilateral stimulation, things like that they can use. I may assign them. Typically, I'll tell my clients, hey, this week, these are some tools, and I call them tools that are in your toolbox. It's similar,
and the box breathing, that's like in 1, 2, 3, out 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so you breathe in
Okay.
for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, and then you hold for 4 again. With
Okay.
that, I always say, like, I do have a video on that as well. I breathe differently than you. So if you're counting 5 or 10, it doesn't matter. Also, sometimes I'll count faster. So it doesn't matter what your number is. Just keep it consistent.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I have told people they can do mantra. I'll do the box breathing. I wasn't going to do that, but we'll do that anyway. Yeah, and I'll hold up. I'm trying to think if I have anything. This is the closest. Oh, this is a box. Awesome. I'm like, I usually use something else, but this will do. So yeah, so with that, you breathe in. Ooh, where am I? Breathe in for 4. Hold your breath for 4. Exhale for 4. And then you hold again for 4. And you can say mantras with that instead, or breathe in or whatever. So yeah, we'll maybe try and do that together. I have a really hard time talking and counting, but we'll do that. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. So you can do that again. Like I said, I'm counting, so I have no access to how fast or slow you breathe. But during COVID, someone pointed out that you could do that to increase your lung capacity. Also, to see where your lung capacity is then put a timer on. That's the only time when I would suggest is using that to, so you know where you're at. So whether it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, but you have the timer. If you're doing it at, so when you do that, then try and add the next day, the next week, whatever, add another second to it. So you are increasing your lung capacity. And I came back from Las Vegas that year with COVID, from Hypno Thoughts that year. And yeah, that was the one thing I did, the box breathing. But again, instead of just in my mind counting, I put the timer on, and it was more to gain that lung capacity and also see that I am improving. And that's the other thing. When you're now on 6 versus 5 or 7 versus 6, it's like, okay, this is getting better. I'm getting better. I'm actually breathing better. But it's more to be used for breath work, for relaxation, and people use breath work for a variety of things, but for stress and anxiety. The one I was going to teach you guys, I'm like, where's my hand? And that, again, it's like screen. There we go. There's my hand. So yeah, so what you would do, you breathe in and hold your breath as you breathe in, and then exhale and trace your thumb down. And then breathe in and out. And then do the same in the middle finger. And out. And again, I'm talking and breathing, so I don't know how fast, you would normally be going. But as you do that, just take note of the touch on your fingers as well, because you're bringing in the tactile. And that brings you inwards. And again, it's a great, and then you rub your hands together or clap them as you activate pressure points in your hand, and then you would do the other hand. It's a great way, again, it just brings your level down, and there's so many reasons why breath work helps you. But again, when your mind's in that space that you don't want it to be, whether it's stress, anxiety, whether it's, I really want to eat that giant piece of chocolate, or whatever it may be, or your mind's racing in a negative direction, it's really hard to, whether it's the breath work with the box breathing, the counting, or it's with you tracing your hands, because you're looking, you're touching, you're breathing. Your mind can't swivel off on its own little, where, like, wherever you don't want it to go. And it gives you that time to pause as well and go, okay, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. It's that refocus. So there's so many benefits to breath work. The other one, again, back to the laughter yoga that you can do with your hands. I've got so many, but I get really jazzed when I start teaching. So with the tracing of your hands, what you can do as well, and now I've forgotten. Yeah, you don't obviously have to hold your hand up like this. So like for people I've had clients who have issues with flying, or students for tests, you can put this on the desk or on a chair and just trace like this part of your hand, and nobody's going to notice that at all. Like, again, nobody's staring. And they probably think, especially if you're in an airport, well, if you're just sitting at the table, just kind of, it's flat or on a chair and you're just doing this with your hand, they probably think you're just bored and you're waiting for your plane to leave. Or if you're writing on a test, it's just to keep you occupied. So again, people around you won't necessarily know what you're doing, but you're doing the breath work and you're bringing your level down so that you can focus on what you need to. And then, and then the other one that you can do, which is very similar, and I'm going to pull in the laughter because that makes us feel good, is similarly, you trace up, breathe in, and then you laugh like you're going down a roller coaster or whatever. So, ha 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 ha. And the fake laughter gets into real laughter. So you breathe in, and don't do this in public. Well, you can if you want to, but.
Well, you can. Just don't do it maniacally because maniacal laughter.
That's way more fun. I do that sometimes. Again, laughter yoga, we do weird stuff, but again, it gets your body moving and doing things. So you breathe in, and then you laugh it out. Yeah, we can do the ha ha ha. Have fun with it. Breathe in, and then exhale with that laughter. So the ha ha ha. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever. It's fun, and that's the whole point of it. We take ourselves so seriously, and the laughter just brings us back. And you can do that on your steering wheel. You can laugh, tap your fingers, whatever it may be. And like I said, the fake laughter, you're not really laughing. You end up laughing in the end because you're laughing at how ridiculous you are. But
it's like
you're having fun.
Yeah, it's like the word smile. Yeah, exactly. If you tell somebody to smile, as much as they try to resist it, they will likely smile.
Yes, unless you're doing it in a creepy man way.
No. Here's what I used to do. So as a McDonald's manager, we had a checklist, and in order to pass the checklist, everybody needed to be smiling, and nobody was smiling. Now, granted, it was the day staff, and the day staff, we talked about, now you guys are acting like old curmudgeons. Well, some of them were old curmudgeons. And so in order to get them to smile, I came up with this nifty idea. So when the lunch rush would start coming in, I had a sign, and I'd run around to the back of the crowd, get up, because of course, all 5'3" of me, I wanted to make sure I was seen, get up on the bench, and I'd start waving the sign. And it only had one word on it: smile. I got top marks all the time. And everybody was laughing. Everybody was laughing, and even the crowd started turning around, and they're wondering, like, well, what are these guys looking at that they're busting a gut laughing? Like, what's going on? And then they saw the sign, and it was an ace of base moment. What can I say?
And it's contagious.
Oh, that was a dirty dad joke.
There you go.
God.
Good job.
The question is, did you see the sign, Brian?
I heard it, and then it started playing in my head, and I'm like, oh, you bad man. But
that's the teacher that gets to come out every so often.
Yeah, it's.
Did you have smiles on your menu? I think I remember McDonald's.
Yes, smiles were always free, and we used to loathe the people that would come up and ask for them.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Like, I'm like, I think that was McDonald's had that on there. They always
smiles are free.
Yeah, people would ask for them.
Yeah,
I think one of my brothers worked at McDonald's many years ago. Yeah. And his uniform was like a green, and we called it his pickle suit because it looked like a giant pickle. That was like polyester back.
Yeah, we went from those ugly brown ones with the paper hats. It was still the paper hats, and we went from that to gray pants and a black and red kind of t-shirt. And then by that time I had already hit management, so for me it was blue pants or black pants and white shirt. So
you moved up to the white shirt. Woo!
Yeah. I was crew chief for quite a while, and then right after university, right after university, they decided that Shawn would be really great as a manager because we don't want to lose him to the school system, which they eventually did, but not for a while. So.
good learning experience.
It is, and
has good.
McDonald's has their own university. You can go to the University of Hamburgerology in Vancouver, and you can learn everything you need to know about running a restaurant. And some of the managers in the busier locations, they can pull about $100,000. So a year. So that's actually pretty decent for managing a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the compensation structure, but
yeah.
And they're well organized. Like, I mean, I've heard people hire because of the way they're run. And if you worked at a McDonald's, there's very strategic, like they take care of their people. And that it's run like it's a well-oiled machine.
It is. It is. There's no question.
Yeah, we've got a place out here, Cold Stone ice cream, that if you walk in and you put $1 in the tip jar, like they've got to start singing or any amount of money. So it's like someone pulls cash out of their wallet, they like look at you like, please no.
Yeah. Brian, you have a job to do.
All right. Becca, get comfy, nice and cuddled and snuggled all into your bed, and take a deep breath in and sleep. Drifting, dropping, falling deeper and deeper now. Yesterday's a different memory or distant memory, and tomorrow's a million miles away. And you're going to go and enjoy a restful, deep sleep, waking up tomorrow feeling outrageously rested and refreshed and getting ready to tackle the day. So, Shawn, I believe the duty is performed.
That's correct. Yeah. So just to close things off here, you can, of course, get in touch with Tracy at beachhypnosis.com or Positive Mindset Gal on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Don't forget, Tracy has contributed to a book, the book on love, and so you can get that right off of Amazon. Anything else that we need to know about you, Miss Tracy? Positive yoga. Make sure you breathe. Breathing is good. Even Mr. Miyagi will agree with that.
Yeah, laughter yoga isn't actually, like, I would not qualify it as yoga. It does include, like, typically breath work, poses, but you're not doing the asanas that you would do in regular yoga. It's usually fun things, like I said, like the trace breathing, maybe lifting your hands, maybe some breath work with that, and also like a little bit of meditation, but depending on. So that's my plug for laughter yoga. I make like $0 off of laughter yoga, but it's fun, and I've seen people's lives change because of it. Again, it's that positive. You walk away feeling good and being able to tackle whatever's coming your way that day or whatever's going on in your life. I always say it doesn't change the situation you're walking into, but it changes how you view that as you walk into it. And I mean, that's true of any. I think you guys probably help people out with other things as well, with tools and techniques and things. It's just another tool in our toolbox of things that we can do to deal with life stresses and things that come our way.
Yeah. No, we should have you on again, and we can create an event where actually where people can join, all the people who want to watch, we'll give them the link just like we have now. And then you can actually do like the laughter yoga. And if we want people to actually join in, so you can have a little Brady Bunch thing going on.
We speaking of TV shows.
Fun. Yeah, because I actually there's a lot of online laughter yoga groups, and especially because of the pandemic. But there was one in Vancouver that I just love. They're Friday nights, but they're like it's really late for me now. But they meet at 6 o'clock their time, which is 9 p.m. my time, which doesn't sound late to normal people, but 9 p.m. is really late for me because I get up at like 5 a.m. So 5:30. On purpose. It's like, what? Yeah. I never used
I always say that about people in the East. You guys are up before everybody else. It's like you got places to go, things to do.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I've started a whole ritual of more like, again, I mean, I'm not, well, yeah, I'm promoting it. It works for me. It never used to, but I get up. I usually have a coffee. I do some meditation. I do gratitude practice. There's a few other things that I do within that I took from Bob Proctor. Big fan of Bob Proctor. That's why I'm now working with Jack Canfield, because Bob passed away, and I'm like, Jack's retiring this year. So I am not letting that opportunity go. So yeah, I've latched on him. He's also in The Secret, the movie, and also obviously wrote most of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And yeah, he's an amazing, beautiful man. But I don't know. I've now digressed down a different rabbit hole. But yeah.
That's okay. What that
Oh yeah, my
means.
early mornings, yeah. You see, and then I'll try to do like yoga, and again, that's from the pandemic. The same thing from the pandemic is the because I used to go to a gym and work out, and now I'm like, why am I paying for that? Because during the pandemic, you couldn't go. There were no gym. Well, the gym still existed. No one was allowed to go to them. So yeah, so I started picking up more yoga and at home, and I'm like, okay, I don't need to go anywhere, pay anybody. I can do this. So I've started following different yoga teachers, yogis. So that's my go-to in the morning, and then I'm ready to start the day and do all sorts of good things. And by noon, I've got a heck of a lot done. So
No, that's pretty awesome.
yeah, and that works for me, but it doesn't always work for other people. So like that's the thing. I mean, yeah, that right now works for me, but yeah, it may not work for you. If you're an out owl, maybe you get whatever. But I do encourage obviously some that downtime, like you're saying, Brian, with when you're driving into work, even that little prep time for your brain. We all need that. We need downtime, and I think unfortunately these wonderful and evil things of our phone and all the digital, it's very easy to get distracted. And I'm not perfect at it, but they do say not to have your device of any description about an hour before you go to bed. I try that, but I don't always succeed. But again, it's and trying not to watch the news or hockey.
5-1 with a minute 30 left.
Yep, like I said, the season is over. I said
that's why I like don't watch things before you go to bed.
Yep.
Don't watch hockey.
It's okay. No, I cheer for the Rough Riders, and we're 2-0. So. But with that in mind, we should actually let Tracy get to bed because
Brian's gonna cry now.
Yeah, Brian's gonna have a meltdown. Tracy needs.
I'm not gonna have a meltdown. I just gotta watch Brad Marchand all over Facebook, like just shit talk everybody and be like, "I'm the greatest." And be like, his nickname in the league is the Rat because he's a dirty player. And
did he score a goal by chance today that you know of? The reason why I'm asking, the only reason I know some hockey players thing, because Tim Hortons, they have like a hockey thing. And if you get the right people, you get like extra Tim's points.
Holy crap. Reinhardt scored 4 of the 5 goals tonight. My God.
I didn't pick him.
That was...
Who scored the one?
Some Russian guy, Podkolzin.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Podkolzin.
They're probably not getting 4 goals in the next.
And that's the final. I mean, yay, the Stanley Cup stays in the United States. I'll take that, but that just. Oh, you feel like you got.
So if you're watching this on the replay, this is actually June 2025. Just so you know.
Yeah, so it's
and Brian's still crying.
And
I mean, Shawn, we hoped that this would go to at least Game 6, and it did. A wonderful series, but I just hate to see a Game 6 blowout like this. I'd love to see this Game 7, a close game.
The
you know,
question
close
is,
series and everything.
what did they learn? Because the last 2 games that they played in Florida were not their best. So obviously, so
Oh,
the
Connor
question,
McDavid's going to go have a stroke right now. And I don't blame him because he's like, look, we got this close and then we came back and we're going to go do it again. And I think when they went down 2-0, he was on video just giving the guys the business in the locker room. And he's like, can we just like throw some effort in here? Like, let's get one game at least. And then they came back and had a very decent showing, but
yeah,
God,
but that is life.
yeah.
There are going to be those people that are stronger than you, and if you lose, that's not a weakness. That's just life.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, unfortunately.
Yep.
God, they scored 2 goals 90 seconds apart. Like, how did I miss that?
Well,
I was
you
like,
were with
okay,
us.
3-0, and then I was like, I switched windows and I looked over. I'm like, oh, the Oilers scored one, and I looked over at Florida and I was like, 5, Jesus, that sticker shock.
Yep, is what it is.
Oh.
All right.
Next year.
Yeah, join us in 2 weeks. So that would be July 1st, Canada Day, when our guest will be Dr. Jody Solberg. And until then, take care, stay well, and be awesome.
Stay free, everybody.
Good night, everybody.